Flexbox demo. I'm going to show you how Flexbox works quickly. First of all, just a note on how this is set up. I have set up section and div just to make it really easy to type my CSS with just the word section and div, but any parent-child element would work. So you need a container, and then it needs to have its children. And the way Flexbox works is the Flex parent controls the layout of the children. In this case, the parent will be section and the children will be div, but these could be any two HTML elements. I've set up wireframing here, which I recommend when you're troubleshooting layout. All I did is I just put a blue border on the outside and a red border on the inside. It makes it really easy to see where things are going, which is great for this demo, but it also can be great when you're stuck and you're troubleshooting. All right, so right now, section and div have not had any special rules added, and this is just what's called the block layout, which means HTML just makes each block take the full width that's available to it and stack one on top of the other. These are taking up a little extra space because I put some padding on them so that we could see. And you'll notice the parent, I gave a width and a height so that it has a size to be. If your parent isn't given a size, some of this will work a little bit differently, so we can talk about that later. All right, if I go ahead and add display flex, that will change us from a block layout to a flex layout. And you'll notice the normal thing in Flexbox is to go in what's called the row direction. So now instead of laying out top to bottom, we go left to right. The first property I'm going to show you is justify content. And what that's going to do is let us decide how to spread our items out over the available space. So if we're in the row, it's horizontal space we're talking about. And the default is start, so that's what it did. It just put them all at the start. If I change it to end, it will just put them all at the end. And if I change it to center, it will put them all in the center. Very often students just want to center things, and that's really straightforward. In the other dimension, we can align items. It's a little confusing. It's justify content, but align items. And here, once again, we have start, which will put them all at the start. We have end, which will put them all at the end. And we have center, which will put it all in the center. So if we do justify content center, align item center, we perfectly center all of our items. The other really cool thing about Flexbox is in addition to putting them start, end, and center, we can space them out. So if you just type space, your editor should give you space around, space between, and space evenly. And that's going to be 3 different ways of making the space look visually perfect. So space around is going to perfectly give every single item the same amount of space on left and right. Space evenly is going to take the spaces left. So if I've got 4 items, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, and each space will be balanced. So each space is exactly the same size. And then space between is going to push my items out to the edges and make sure that the space between the items, in this case 3 spaces between 4 items, is made perfectly even. That spacing will be kept even if the items are different. So if I took my B item, for example, and I made it wider, the space is still kept perfectly even in each of these spacing algorithms. Awesome. All right, the other thing to notice is if you did want to have an item different than the others, let's say that I wanted A up in the top, in addition to putting the align on the parent, you can do align self on the child and apply any of the alignment rules you want. So if I said align self start, now A goes to the start and the other ones are in the center. All right, I mentioned before that row was not the only way to do a Flexbox, and indeed there's a property called flex direction, which lets you change if we are in a row or in a column. So if we say we're in a column, everything just gets flipped in the vertical direction. So let's say I did space between a line item center and the A1 is at the start. Start now means left. The alignment now happens top to bottom. And if I change that column to row, it now flips. There's also row reverse, which would change A would be on the right and it moves to D, and column reverse. Those are very rarely used, but you might have a reason for it. So it's very nice. Flexbox will let you basically choose a direction, left to right or top to bottom, and then align items or space them out in that direction or align them, and then decide should they be center, top, or bottom in the other direction. So if you think about things on a web page like a menu bar or a button or a card layout, almost all of these things can be achieved really nicely with Flexbox and can be made perfectly even and beautiful. That way you're not sitting there saying, oh, I need 10 more pixels here, I need 15 more pixels here. You just let the computer calculate, and it's going to make sure that those spaces are exactly perfect. In this case, I made it responsive to the screen size. So as I resize the screen, the spacing gets adjusted so that it's perfectly even. Whereas if I had a number of pixels or something, that definitely would not work.